Hello, my name is Evita Valdez. I am a senior graduating from Appalachian State University with a major in communication studies and a minor in marketing studies, and welcome to my senior portfolio. I realize that the target audience for this portfolio is the Board of Communication, my professor, anyone else who needs to read it for me to graduate, but it's also important to note that while other students take into account potential employers as their target audience, my portfolio is a little bit different. I was lucky enough to find what I wanted to do as a career very young in my life. I'm a Mary Kay sales director. I'm wearing my uniform, I'm wearing my sales director jewels, and as of to this point, I've done very well as a sales director. I have been able to fund my life, my academics, and I feel very healthy. So I've taken the decision to follow this as my career. So I'm graduating early from Appalachian State with the intention of using those 6 months that I would have been in school to further my career, to really take advantage of that time that I have, dedicate myself fully, zero distractions to try and achieve my goals. So this portfolio has the underlying intention of guiding me through these next couple of months and years in my professional life, guiding me into helping me achieve my goals. So when you're looking through my portfolio, realize that the tone may be a little bit different. I don't go into too much detail about the specifics of the Mary Kay marketing plan or how to achieve the goals, but enough detail is provided to understand what needs to be done. Without further ado, we can go ahead and take a guided tour of this portfolio. I am going to stay right here in the bottom right corner. This is the home page of the portfolio. The first thing you see is my professional headshot taken at my director's graduation in Dallas, Texas. There are 3 quick links to the most important parts of the portfolio, in my opinion. And as you scroll down, you see my elevator speech on the right. The elevator speech sets the tone for the entire portfolio. It is quick, it's concise, it's to the point, but I think it renders what kind of student I am very clearly and the work ethic that I have. To the left, you will see the professional goals. Like I said, not too much detail, enough to understand what needs to be done. This is a photo of the ultimate Mary Kay dream and the ultimate goal that I will be working towards in these next 6 months. This is where the video is going to be placed, and this is a brief picture gallery that I think helps kind of give an image of what my life as a sales director has been. These are the Mary Kay career cards. This is a photo of me in Georgia with a unit that I have in Georgia. I host 2 meetings a month in Norcross, Georgia. This is a picture of me these 2 pictures are at my director's graduation. I was 19 years old, the youngest debuting sales director in our class. And that's the brief picture gallery. So we go straight to the resume. Now, my resume may look a little bit different than other students. I didn't get the chance to be as involved in extracurriculars and clubs as I would have really, really liked to, because all of my free time was dedicated to my career. So I have my education, I have my work experience. This is my brief time as a beauty consultant because I became a sales director within a year. There's a brief explanation of what needed to be accomplished to be a sales director. And these are some of my work achievements. I think these are very important because they help fill in the gaps throughout the years of what I was doing with my free time. At the bottom is a personal growth. These are the positions that I was in 2017, and this is where I was in the mid-year report for 2018. I've grown a lot. And at the bottom is some volunteer work. I was in a service learning class this year and I was required to work with a community partner. I chose Western Youth Network because I liked the idea of working with children. I was also very aware that there were a lot of minority children. And out of this came 3 feature articles that I included here in case my viewers wanted to read this. If we go to the top, we have my GPA and my major GPA here, the languages that I speak, and some of my skills. This is the resume. Now let's move on to the strategic plan. I think this is the most important part of the entire portfolio for myself because this will literally guide me through the next 6 months And the strategic plan, this is a viewable PDF. The good thing about this is that after 6 months, once I've hopefully achieved everything that is mentioned here, I can just go in and change the numbers and it'll adapt itself to a strategic plan for the next year and the following year and 5 years from now. So I think this is something I can reference every single day and it will benefit me. So here is the viewable PDF. The goals are in pink. These are the results that I want to achieve and the first steps, because obviously the hardest part is starting. At the bottom are some more pictures of what I hope to achieve. The purple boxes that you will see throughout the portfolio are my rationales. They go into more depth as to why I did this, how I did it, why I chose to do it this way. So they are very important to understanding the purpose behind this page. Okay, we can move on to community involvement. This is where I discuss the public service announcement that we worked on in class. We worked directly with Matt Snyder, who is the head of the Board of Elections in Watauga County. I was very lucky to work with a group of fellow peers who were just as dedicated and excited for this project. And we were incredibly lucky to work with App TV interns Kyle Presley and Madison Dietz. This project would not have been the success that it was without them. And ultimately, the results, I think, are pretty great. I think the PSAs that my fellow peers created were fantastic, but I'm also very proud of this work that we did. The rationale explains the type of collaborative efforts that we put into it. Here is a link to an article written for the Watauga Democrat that goes over what our class was doing. And if you click on this video, the PSA will play. You can play it in full screen if you want. Okay, we can move on to professional interviews. I conducted 3 interviews with 3 different professionals in my field. This is the proposal, the rationale, and of course, here's another viewable PDF. This goes over the research process, methodology, the questions, the results, and at the bottom there's an appendix that has the script and the questions for the interviews. Now, do take into account that 2 of the women that I interviewed spoke to me in Spanish, so I had to translate them from Spanish to English. There might be some things lost in translation in the appendix, but I go over things pretty thoroughly in the actual research paper. I really appreciate this project. One of my favorite things about having a career in Mary Kay is the open line of communication that we have. I mentioned that both in the paper and in the rationale, but being able to talk to these women in a more professional setting with the intention of getting quality information from them was really nice. And now if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you will see pictures of the 3 subjects that I interviewed. On the left is Isabel Bautista. This is actually a photo of me interviewing her. In the middle, this is me, and this is Megan McDowell, who I interviewed. And over here is a picture of Lila Garro. This is her receiving her pink Cadillac, which is what we spoke about in our interviews. These are very impressive women. Okay, if we move on to my work samples. The work samples, I provided a writing sample and an analytical sampler. However, I included 2 writing samples because I just couldn't decide between the 2, and I think they're both fantastic. The first one, in my political communication class, we did a mock presidential election. I was representing Kirsten Gillibrand. I worked with a team of individuals. We did press releases, we did speeches, we did campaigning, a commercial, and this is the speech that was written for the announcement of running for candidate. And here's actually a video taken because we did the speeches in one of the App TV studios and they were recorded. I loved this project. It was so much fun. It was dense. It was hard. Writing speeches and performing them and being videotaped was fantastic. And I will say that at the end of the election, I did win President of the United States. So Kirsten Gillibrand. And here's another paper I wrote. This is for my consumer behavior class, Children as Consumers. This is more structured as a research paper, APA. So I thought it important to include both because one is a little more creative, another one is more formal. And here is an analytical sample and its rationale. This report we did for Western Youth Network in my integrated communication marketing class, it's a big report. It's 40 pages, so much work, but I am so proud of this. We got to work directly with the community partners. This is actually a picture of me presenting the project to the partner on the App State Marketing Instagram page. We ultimately did very well on the project, but I think it was one of the most well-deserved A's that I've ever had in my career. We were very timely. We submitted it early, so we were able to get it checked. We fixed the corrections, and we submitted it early again. It was fantastic. Also, one of the greater group dynamics that I've had. So, this is my analytical sample and two writing samples. Both I think are very important and demonstrate my abilities as a student. And lastly, we have the infographic. I was in a crisis communication class. A group of students and I partnered with Rumpel Memorial Presbyterian Church to create a crisis communication plan for them. This is the rationale, an introduction. So what I did was I stripped away all the specificity the crisis plan created for Rumpel Memorial, and I narrowed it down to a basic how to create a crisis communication plan. This is applicable to most businesses and organizations. Again, it is a viewable PDF. It's kind of long, but it does touch all of the important points as to how to make a crisis communication plan, why it's important, why communication is important, tools and resources, how to deal with the media. So really, anybody could use this and create a substantial crisis communication plan for their organization. It's very brief, it's quick and to the point, but it is in depth. So this is the infographic, and this sums up pretty much what my portfolio looks like in a nutshell. Of course, you will, when you take the time to read it, it's a little bit more specific. But ultimately, I had a pretty fantastic job working on this. I had a pretty fantastic time working on this portfolio, and I'm very proud of it. I think I think it's very appropriate. I think it demonstrates the type of work ethic that I have. So ultimately, I think it's important to share my reflection. For the longest time, I was consumed with the idea that my career was an unconventional one and that it would be harder for me to apply what I was learning in school to my future. When I learned that this is what I wanted to do, I had a difficult time seeing my classes as the opportunity that they were. I had a well-paying job, I had plans, a future, I was busy. And for a while, school just felt like school, like high school. Attend, complete, repeat, due dates, pressure, professors, peers, it felt routine. And I'm sure many students feel that way, but I was under the impression that higher education was supposed to feel different, more involved, immersive, challenging, and competitive. And then I said to myself, what are you doing? You have an opportunity that many kids wish they had, an opportunity that your parents risked everything to give to you, and you're going to complain because you have the best of both worlds, a job and an education? So I washed away all those thoughts, and I started to create a more involved, immersive, challenging, and competitive environment for myself. I changed my attitude, and all of a sudden, the world turned pink. My classes started to have meaning beyond the subject topic. My professors were caring. My peers were more fascinating. And then something even more magical happened. My work started to stand out, both in school and in my career. I was doing better in both worlds, and I felt happier, more fulfilled, busy and happy. And then, to my even more pleasant surprise, along comes my senior seminar class, and for the first time in my young adult life, my two worlds got to come together. This class gave me the opportunity to think of myself as a sales director and as an App State senior at the same time. For the first time in my academic career, I got to think of my unconventional career as more conventional. Needless to say, I used the word unconventional for lack of better terminology. But for the first time, a course was helping me understand what I needed to do to be better at my job. This portfolio was the cherry on top of a sundae that was 3 years in the making. I can have my flexible, makeup-centered, jewelry-fulfilled pink suit career and still treat it with the strategy and professionalism that we both deserve. I am grateful for the opportunity that I had to share with the peers that I had in my class. I am grateful for a professor that pushed us to think for ourselves and beyond ourselves. And I am so grateful that Appalachian State University gave me the chance to be the first Valdez ever graduated from an American four-year institution. This portfolio means a lot to me, and I hope it successfully conveys that. Thank you for watching, and please feel free to look around my portfolio. Thank you.